Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Crypto Deep Dive. I'm Laurie, and as always, I'm joined by our in-house crypto analyst and blockchain brain, Nick. This is episode 12, and we've got a lot to unpack today, especially for the XRP community.
Hey, Laurie, great to be back. And yeah, this one's huge. We're diving into two major developments that could shape XRP's future in a big way. The crystal ball is telling me that you'll look at the markets first.
You read my mind, so today, Tuesday, 22nd of May, 2025, after hitting new all-time highs yesterday, Bitcoin has retraced marginally to 110,861 US dollars. Ethereum is sitting at about $2,632, and XRP is at 2.4191. We've got XLM at just over 30 cents. Sol is at $178, and ADA is trading at pretty much 80 cents. Shall we get cracking with the main topics?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get straight into it. First up, XRP just got its very first futures ETF listed in the US, courtesy of Volatility Shares. That sounds like a big deal. What exactly happened?
Absolutely. On May 22nd, Volatility Shares officially launched the first ever XRP Futures ETF on the Nasdaq. This is a milestone moment because it marks XRP's entry into the US institutional investment scene via a regulated exchange product. The ETF itself doesn't directly hold XRP, it invests in XRP futures contracts through a Cayman Island subsidiary. That's a common setup due to regulatory reasons, but the important part is institutional players now have a new avenue to gain exposure to XRP.
So, this is futures-based, not a spot ETF. For folks who might be newer to this, what's the difference?
Good question. A futures ETF tracks the price of XRP through derivatives, contracts that speculate on XRP's future price. You're not buying actual XRP, just betting on where the price will go. In contrast, a spot ETF would actually hold XRP as the underlying asset. That's seen as more direct and impactful in terms of supply and demand mechanics.
Got it. So does this ETF move signal growing confidence in XRP even with the SEC case still unresolved?
That's where it gets interesting. The fact that the SEC allowed this product on the market, even indirectly, is seen by many analysts as a vote of confidence, or at least as a sign the tide may be turning. Nate Gerasi from the ETF store called it a stepping stone to a future spot XRP ETF, which many expect could be approved later this year.
And what's been the market reaction so far?
Muted, honestly. Unlike when Bitcoin futures ETFs first launched, XRP hasn't seen a massive price spike, at least not yet. But we shouldn't be surprised. Futures ETFs don't always cause immediate surges. It's more about the long game, institutional access, liquidity, and market legitimacy.
So it's not a moonshot trigger, but it could set the foundation for broader adoption?
Exactly. And it adds a layer of credibility. Even if retail investors don't feel the impact immediately, institutional traders now have a sanctioned vehicle to get in.
All right, let's talk about the second hot topic, this $237 million XRP transfer that had the community buzzing. What's the story here?
So this happened on May 21st. Whale Alert picked up a 100 million XRP transfer worth around $237 million at the time. The transfer didn't coincide with any significant price movement, which got people talking. One user on X, who goes by Digital G, suggested this could be some form of market manipulation, but then Ripple's CTO, David Schwartz, stepped in to calm things down.
What did Schwartz say?
He said the transfer was almost certainly just an exchange withdrawal, not a buy order or a market-moving event. Basically, an internal move, like when an exchange reshuffles liquidity or adjusts wallet balances.
Still, people jump to conclusions pretty fast. Why does the XRP community seem so reactive to these kinds of whale moves?
That's crypto for you. Big transfers trigger speculation because blockchain data is transparent but not always clear. You can see the money moving but not the reason why. And in XRP's case, the community is especially sensitive due to past price manipulations and the ongoing regulatory saga.
So it's more about perception than actual impact?
Exactly. These types of transfers don't always influence the market. But when there's no price jump or dip, it fuels all kinds of theories. Some people see it as whales testing the market, others as proof of hidden deals.
And Ripple's leadership addressing it directly. Does that help ease concerns?
It does. Transparency goes a long way. Schwartz responding quickly is a sign that Ripple's leadership knows how jittery the market can be, and they're trying to maintain trust.
Is there a bigger lesson here for crypto investors?
Yes, not all whale moves are market movers. You have to look at context, not just the raw data. Ask yourself, is the price reacting? Is volume spiking? Are there macro factors at play?
Nick, before we wrap up, let's touch on a couple other stories around XRP that are adding to the intrigue this week.
Sure, one big one. Another closed-door SEC meeting happened on May 22nd and potentially discussing Ripple. This follows the rejection of a joint Ripple SEC motion to settle part of the case. While that rejection doesn't overturn Ripple's past legal wins, like the ruling that programmatic XRP sales aren't securities, it does delay clarity. And clarity is what institutional investors want before diving in head first.
So this could impact the future of spot ETF approvals?
Very likely. The longer the legal fog persists, the more hesitant regulators will be to greenlight a direct XRP spot ETF. It's a waiting game.
There's also the launch of XSGD, a Singapore dollar stablecoin, on the XRP Ledger. That seems big for cross-border payments.
Absolutely. This is a strategic move by Ripple. Asia's cross-border trade is set to hit $4 trillion by 2030. Having a regulated, fiat-pegged stablecoin like XSGD on the XRP Ledger enhances Ripple's vision as a global payments network and a challenger to SWIFT.
And then there's the bidding war with Coinbase to acquire Circle, the issuer of USDC. Ripple's $11 billion offer is turning heads.
If it goes through, it could be a game changer. Ripple would become a top 3 stablecoin player with deep ties to both the XRP ecosystem and the broader crypto payment world. But let's be clear, the deal isn't finalized. There are legal hurdles, and Ripple may not be able to use XRP freely in the transaction due to the SEC case.
Back to whale activity, there's also been 640 million XRP transferred recently, with prices stabilizing above $2.30. Is that bullish?
It could be. Large whale moves followed by stabilization often signal accumulation. Technical indicators like the 26-day exponential moving average show support here. But again, no guarantees. XRP has been choppy lately, and sentiment is split.
Some people on X are already calling for $5 XRP.
Yeah, and others are predicting a drop below $2. That's the nature of crypto Twitter. Always extreme. It's important to distinguish hype from hard data. Use X for sentiment, but always cross-check with fundamentals.
So to sum up, we've got a milestone ETF, some big on-chain transfers, and a legal saga that just won't quit. How should investors approach XRP right now?
Stay cautious but curious. There's real momentum behind XRP, both on the tech side and the institutional side. But until the legal picture clears up and we see a spot ETF approved, volatility is the name of the game.
Thanks, Nick. That's it for today's episode of the Crypto Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this conversation, give us a like, hit subscribe, and share it with your fellow crypto nerds.
Yeah, don't forget to smash that notification bell to get real-time updates when our next episodes hit. We'll be tracking every twist and turn as XRP's 2025 story unfolds.
See you next time.